This is really good, Spencer. Can you send me the recipe after the game?
Sure. Are you positive?
Yeah.
Nothing personal. I just didn't know that you were that kind of Bobcats fan.
Bobcats are naturally evasive. Even if you spend a ton of time outdoors, there's no guarantee that you'll cross paths with one. That's why it might shock folks to learn that their populations have been booming over the last 3 decades. With over 40,000 harvested each year, it's surprising that these felines are rarely turned into fancy feast. Whether it's our aversion to eating house pets or a culinary distaste for litter critters, the idea that bobcat meat is repulsive may just be a social construct. I'm Spencer Neuharth, a cat owner myself, and this is Pardon My Plate, a show where we explore the human palate by eating what most consider to be repulsive, offensive, and altogether inedible. Let's dive in to see if these fluffy felines are as palpable as they are petable.
Have you ever heard of the game of kiss one, marry one, kill one?
Oh, yep.
I have. I know it by another name, but we won't call it that.
This is the MeatEater edition.
Okay.
Kiss one, eat one, keep one as a pet. Round 1. You have a bobcat, a kangaroo, and a giant locust.
I would eat the kangaroo.
Not keeping the locust.
A bobcat, a possum, or a groundhog.
I would kiss the bobcat.
Kiss a bobcat.
Kiss a bobcat.
Do you think a bobcat kisses like a butterfly or just like a regular cat?
It's just everything's pointing back to Bobcat.
A bobcat, a badger, and a beaver.
I would eat the bobcat because I think they'd be delicious.
Bobcat probably tastes similar to a chicken.
It's just kind of like beef.
I would definitely eat the bobcat. Sorry, bobcat. Yeah.
Do you have any hesitation with feline?
I don't know.
No. Have you ever eaten a feline?
I can't accurately answer that.
So here's the deal with bobcat. Nobody eats them. Despite bobcat, or Lynx rufus, being the most abundant wildcat in North America, you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who's actually cooked one. How do I know? Well, according to Google Analytics, the words bobcat recipe almost never get searched. But phrases like carp recipe, coot recipe, and coyote recipe combined get searched over 10,000 times a month. Check out season 1 of Pardon My Plate. So why isn't bobcat more regularly consumed? I don't know. Based on most accounts I've read, it's actually quite delicious. In a 2011 bobcat hunting article, the author described the meat as delectable and said it's one of his family's favorite meals. And in a 2017 blog post, a chef described bobcat meat as having the same texture and flavor as pork. 200 years earlier, mountain man Daniel Williams Harmon wrote a similar review of lynx in his journal. Now I know lynx and bobcat are not the same thing, but it is believed that bobcats evolved from lynx and that they are extremely closely related. Anyway, this is what he had to say about eating a Canadian lynx. When full grown, lynx will weigh 30 or 40 pounds, and when they are fat, they are excellent food. It's far superior to the meat of the deer and the best I ever tasted, except for that of the female bison. That is damn high praise for an animal whose closest relative is the bobcat, of which there are 40,000 harvested by hunters and trappers each year. So again, I ask, why aren't more of these things eaten? The easiest answer is that there's a cultural taboo around cooking felines, just like with cooking canines. And you might just think that this is the 21st century perspective from someone who owns a cat, until you consider what scientists discovered in Illinois in 2011. That's when a 2,000-year-old burial mound was found to have a pet bobcat in it. This stunned archaeologists, who said the bobcat showed no signs of trauma, meaning it wasn't hunted, sacrificed, or butchered. Furthermore, the pet was buried in the type of mound that was normally reserved for humans and wearing a collar and had bare teeth and shells. This is what one of the lead researchers had to say. It looked respectful and its paws were placed together. It shocked me to my toes. I've never seen anything like it in almost 70 excavated mounds. This animal had a very special place in the life of these people. Now that's not to say that these Native Americans weren't eating bobcats and coyotes and wolves. They certainly were. But it does show a recognition from ancient humans that not all meat is meant to be eaten, no matter how much it tastes like pork. But I do know a modern human who isn't above cooking a canine, so I'm sure he won't have a problem with eating a cat. To help me cook this bobcat, I've got Janis Putelis joining me in the kitchen to see if this thing really does taste like a pig. Our camera people were complimenting how good you were last year. The best. Like, don't tell Steve or Cal.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, and thank you.
All right, bobcat observation now. First thing when I look at this, I'm like, that's a rabbit.
Because of the color of the meat?
Yeah, like it's like pink. It looks athletic. It's like only slightly bigger than a rabbit that you can still like visualize it, right? If this thing was the size of an elk, I wouldn't think rabbit when I look at it. But
yeah,
this critter looks like a rabbit.
I don't know. I feel like you almost have to like position him, you know, like he was standing there. You know, then that gives you a better idea of what you got there.
It looks an awful lot like pork. And I killed one in Texas this last year. When I brought her home, I also brought home some feral hogs. The color of the flesh was like the exact same. Like
really?
This
one's darker than a pig.
I would say this one is darker. The one that I had though from Texas, like it would have blended in exactly with that hog meat. And so this looks like this has some very pork-like qualities.
Yeah, lots of fat in the meat.
So because of that, I think we should cook this thing like we'd cook a pig.
Okay.
Which, what would be your choice then if we were gonna do that?
Slow and low would be number one. I guess you just gotta decide how you're gonna do slow and low.
You know, we braised the coyote last year, right? So I think we go with smoking on this one. You good with that?
Yeah, I'm in. All right, Buster Brown.
What is that?
I don't know. Something just popped into my head.
We good?
Who is Buster Brown? Let's brine it and then smoke it. I think we'll have just a little bit juicier, a little bit more flavorful product.
I can get down with that. So we should take a ham off, clean it up a little bit, get it in a brine, and then on the smoker. Imagine it's gonna come off just like any ungulate.
Yeah, and we're not gonna leave that extra on, but I think what it tells me is that hopefully the meat itself is like marbled with fat, and it should give us a tasty product. Are you guys on the Wordle train?
What?
No.
That game.
Nobody? You haven't even heard of it. Go right now, New York Times Wordle, and play it while you're directing.
This book calls for a boil, but you're saying we don't need to.
I'm saying you just, whatever you need to do, you need to get some amount of water hot enough that it will dissolve that, and then go from there.
Confident it will. Now, the smoked ham recipe in here has about 10 ingredients on the list for a brine, but we're gonna keep it real simple, and we're just gonna do salt, brown sugar, and peppercorn. So we got the salt first. Man, that feels like a lot of salt.
Well, you got a lot of water, plus you're gonna add ice.
That's right.
Yeah.
Feel okay about me just agitating the water like this? Does that bother you?
Oh, I'm totally cool with it, but that shit in there is not gonna dissolve.
Oh, it's dissolving.
There's no way it's gonna dissolve.
All right, what do you want to do differently?
Well, the water's not hot enough.
All right, make it hotter.
I just explained it. I don't know what you're trying to do right now.
You put your paw in there and feel there's like not any salt left.
There's at least a tablespoon. All right, Bobcat ham going into the brine.
Everything is dissolved in there at this point. Water's cool. Bobcat's in the brine. How long?
Couple days.
Couple days. We got some time to kill. You just want to like hang out here?
Totally. I got nowhere else to be.
All right.
Hello?
Hey, Clay.
Hey.
Hey, Clay, is your refrigerator running?
Yeah.
Well, you better go catch it. Ha ha!
Farm it.
You know, I think Bear Grylls' book is a little bit better than this one.
I've been saying that.
Dude gets it.
Steve, Cal, Remy, they were all crying like little babies.
No.
And then the tall, handsome, strapping Latvian man jumped up and whacked him in the face.
In the face?
All right, here we are, 2 days later, right? 2 days? 2 days later. This thing has been in the brine. Coincidentally, we're in the same clothes as well. Mm-hmm. Now this is ready for the smoker. All right, now I think a lot of folks could mess up this step and not wash it coming out of the brine. Mm-hmm. That's where you're gonna get some really, really salty stuff that you don't even like want to eat.
Yep.
Should we get this thing under the sink and then on the grill?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've eaten cats before in the form of mountain lion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what would be your review of eating mountain lion?
Kind of like what everybody else says, very pork-like. You know, it's not as fatty as pork. I mean, you got to cook it, right? Because of the chance of trichinosis. But you also want to like make sure you kind of keep imparting some moisture because you can dry it out because it is leaner than pork.
So your guess is this going to be like similar to mountain lion, which would be similar to pork?
100%. The only reason it could differ, I think, is that bobcats also are scavengers, which a mountain lion is not.
So this will certainly be better though than the coyote we cooked last year.
Yeah, again, no smell. That coyote had a little bit of smell, I remember, being raw, but this has no smell at all. I'm expecting great things.
All right, let's get it on the smoker.
Okay.
That was nice and dramatic.
Yeah, well that's for Steve. You know, he likes a good slap of the meat.
All right, so you're thinking like 3-4 hours?
Yeah, watch the temp until it hits like 150, 160, pull it off.
We can do that.
Yep. What?
You guys bonding?
Well, this is starting to, you know, get on the verge of like feeling a little bit weird when you're handling a cat and you're about to eat a cat.
She'd eat some of that. All right, so I'm gonna
Somehow you just need to get to my other side. But do we have to set the whole thing up so everybody knows what's about to happen?
I did.
Just be like, Spencer, I need you on the other side.
Yes, that camera there needs to be looking at Spencer's face when he's talking to me, so he needs to be over here. So instead of making a big deal about him walking around, I'm just gonna snap my fingers and move Spencer from my left to my right. Ready? 1, 2, it's not gonna hurt. 3. Now let's eat some big old bobcat.
Well, now hold on, we gotta think about.
I told you I'm gonna debone it.
All right.
Then I'm gonna have a large chunk of meat that we can then slice.
Okay.
And make it look all pretty.
All right, I trust you. This smells like a ham. Like an Easter ham.
I hope it tastes like one too.
My confidence, I would say, is at an all-time high as far as things I've eaten on Pardon My Plate.
Well, yeah, even if it tastes half as good as it smells, we're going to be very happy.
How's that color look to you?
Beauty. I mean, obviously we didn't quite get the brine all the way to the center.
That's why we cooked it to 160. I should have trusted you, Yanni. That's pretty.
You ready?
I'm ready. That looks great. All right, I've seen enough cutting. Let's try this thing. All right. Taste-wise, delicious. Like, would have no idea that this is a bobcat. It is a little dry, which probably could just like brined it a little more, cooked it a little less. You think that would have like got us what we were looking for?
100%. Yeah, man, you make a little deli sandwich, some mustard with this, be awesome.
Really damn good though. I've said this multiple times on the show, but this is the best thing now that I've eaten on Pardon My Plate. And it's just like easy to deal with as far as when we're butchering the thing. It's very familiar to other ungulates. It's like not too small like a squirrel where it could be intimidating for somebody. It's not too big like a deer where that could be intimidating to someone. This is so damn good.
Yeah. And that small little ham.
Yeah, you know, there's 40,000 of these things killed each year in North America, which is like similar to the amount of black bears killed. People eat a ton of black bears. There are like a ton of recipes out there for black bears, but for bobcats, you just don't hear folks talk about it.
Yeah, now they will be.
Do you want camera crew involved trying on
Oh,
this
yeah.
one? Or?
Yeah, you guys want me to run the camera?
I'll get Janis.
Do you guys have any trepidations? Hillary didn't.
That's good. Tastes like my grandma's Thanksgiving ham.
Wow. I'm with it.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's great. It's like a more interesting ham.
I like that. That's good. Interesting is like a good way to put this because ham is so boring.
It's got more, come on now. I wouldn't call it boring.
I think ham.
But yeah, this has more depth. It's to steal something from Steve again, it's like the thinking man's ham.
Oh, I like that.
It's the thinking man's ham.
That's the kind of branding.
Thinking man's ham. Who needs the branding?
Bobcats do. That's the kind of branding Bobcats do. That's great.
There you go.
Pardon my plate, but Bobcat is a touchdown.